Welcome to the Afterpop, where we're breaking down some of the more technical terminology from episode 9 with Dr. Kreamer. In episode 9 with Dr. Kreamer, we talked a little bit about in-situ leaching. In-situ leaching makes up about 80% of all uranium mining here in the United States. We'll break it down step by step, and hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll understand what it is and how it's monitored to keep people and the environment safe. Let's start with the basics. In-situ leaching, or ISL for short, is a way of mining uranium that doesn't involve digging big holes or removing tons of rock. This method is also used for mining other materials like salt, copper, and sulfur. Instead, mining companies drill small wells into the ground. Through these wells, they pump a special liquid called lixiviant into underground layers of rock that contain uranium. This liquid dissolves the uranium from the rock. Then the miners pump the uranium-rich liquid back to the surface, where they can process it and extract the uranium. A simple way to think of it is like this. You have a cookies and cream milkshake, and you've put it into the freezer a bit too long. Now it's frozen solid like a block, but you still want those tiny pieces of cookie at the bottom of your milkshake right now. Your straw is also frozen in place, so you pour a little bit of milk down the straw to loosen the cookie and bring it back out, even though your milkshake is still frozen solid. The cookie in this example is uranium, and the milk, the lixiviant. But what's in the lixiviant? The lixiviant is the key to making ISL work, but what's in it? Usually it's made up of water mixed with oxygen and other chemicals. The exact mix depends on the type of rock and uranium deposit. But here are the common ingredients. Number 1, oxygen. This helps break apart the uranium from the rock. This is also what Dr. Kreamer was talking about when he said uranium needs high oxygen levels to dissolve. Number 2, carbon dioxide or sodium bicarbonate. Carbon dioxide makes these liquids slightly acidic. Sodium bicarbonate makes them slightly basic. The use of these chemicals depends on what works best for dissolving the uranium. Number 3, hydrogen peroxide, sometimes. Hydrogen peroxide boosts the chemical reaction to make it more efficient. These chemicals are carefully chosen to dissolve uranium while causing as little impact as possible to the other minerals in the subsurface. Now, let's step back and look at ISL in about 7 steps. The first, injection. So that's the solution that gets injected into the wells. Second, extraction. The solution containing the dissolved uranium is pumped back through the surface and wells and processed at a plant. Third, separation. The uranium is separated from the solution using an ion exchange column. The uranium is adsorbed to the column, and then the uranium-free solution is passed back through. But what does that even mean? Let's take our milkshake example. So the milk and cookie mixture is moving up the straw, but you need to separate it into pure liquid and pure cookie. So you invent a cookie magnet, so to speak. The cookie magnet then takes all of the cookie out of the solution, leaving just the milk alone. Once the milk is fully cleaned up, it can be used again to go back into your milkshake, if that doesn't gross you out. Steps 4 through 7 include redissolution, chemical treatment, purification, and transportation. We'll get into some of those in later episodes. In our episode about groundwater contaminants, we were really focused on how do we keep groundwater safe. So, how do we keep groundwater safe? One of the biggest concerns with ISL is protecting the groundwater. Groundwater is the water stored underground in rocks and soil. Many people use it for drinking, farming, and every other day needs, and especially in places where groundwater is a premium, such as hot, arid, dry climates. So how do responsible mining companies make sure the lixiviant doesn't mix with the groundwater? In our last episode with Dr. Kreamer, we discussed some of the issues around groundwater contamination, and he made several points throughout the episode. The first, we need proper data and information of groundwater systems. This includes fracture analysis, both surface and subsurface, groundwater dating, as well as the flow rate of aquifer systems. Spending time and capital to do thorough thoughtful, complex research to get a better picture and understanding of what's happening beneath the surface. The second, monitoring wells. Around every mining site, workers drill extra wells to check the water quality. They test these wells regularly to make sure the lixiviant isn't leaking. Having a clear picture of what's happening underground gives you better ability to monitor the aquifer systems. Keep in mind, some of these subsurface systems can have natural uranium levels in the water without any man-made intervention. The third, containment systems, aka the giant catcher's mitt. The pressures in the wells are carefully controlled. This keeps the lixiviant from spreading beyond the mining area. Additionally, barriers and seals are sometimes added to prevent the liquid from escaping into unintended zones. And the fourth, reclamation. After mining is finished, the lixiviant is pumped back out and the water is treated to remove any leftover chemicals. The goal is to restore the groundwater to the same condition it was in before the mining started. But Danielle, didn't you just do a whole episode of groundwater contamination? So how safe is in-situ leaching? Globally, ISL is considered one of the safest ways to mine uranium. Why? Because it disturbs the land much less than traditional mining. There are no big pits or piles of waste rock, and the mining happens completely underground. Accidents and spills are rare, but they do happen. That's why strict rules and regulations are in place to prevent and respond to any problems. For example, in countries like the United States, Australia, and Kazakhstan, mining companies must have emergency plans and follow strict environmental standards. ISL is the most common way uranium is mined today, especially in Kazakhstan, which produces the most uranium in the world. Over the years, this method has supplied millions of tons of uranium for nuclear energy, with very few major incidents. While every mining site is different, the global success rate shows that ISL can be both effective and safe when done correctly. In-situ leaching might sound complicated, but it's really about using chemistry underground to safely and efficiently mine uranium. Keep in mind, we have to make sure we follow strict rules, regulations, monitoring, and analysis in order to do so. However, this method can help us supply the incoming fuel for the growing uranium needs in the United States without causing major harm to the environment. Thanks again for listening to The Afterpop, a brief breakdown of in-situ leaching from episode 9. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and we'd be happy to get those answered for you. I'm Danielle Allen, and you've been listening to Naked Nuclear. Stay curious.